Madison schools are reminding families that their students are safe after recent federal arrests. While we wait to hear from the Middleton company about last week's workplace shooting, police are still looking for the gun that was used.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning. It is almost 6:01 this morning, this Tuesday, September 25th. And we have a gorgeous moon out there. I almost called it a sun looking at it.
It is really bright again.
It's so bright.
It's pretty bright again on the way to work this morning. If you are lucky enough to have clear skies in your area, you'll be able to see it this morning. It is setting in the western sky. Here's a look from the Queen Bee Radio Skycam in Platteville. Definitely lighting things up a little bit there. It looks like it could be a little foggy in Platteville, but fog is not a widespread problem right now. We'll keep our eye on it. We are talking about the potential for severe weather this later on this afternoon into this evening. So today is an alert day for southern Wisconsin. Madison and points to the south and east are included in that slight risk for severe storms. Right now, the active weather is well off to our west in South Dakota and Nebraska, but it will make steady progress to the east through the day. So dry this morning. Rain chances really start to ramp up after 1 o'clock, becoming likely late this afternoon as you head home from work. So that rain will likely impact the evening commute. It's not going to impact the morning commute though this morning. Take a look at what's happening on the roads. A few slowdowns showing up on Stoughton Road as you head north of the Beltline. Otherwise, downtown still looking quiet at this hour. No accidents to report, so that is good news. As you head into Madison, you're still going at posted speeds.
I told Danica earlier this morning, this is the only time you'll hear me say, let's go back to Monday. It was so pretty yesterday.
That's true. It was a great day.
Still
I don't know
though
if I want to go back.
I'm with you, Ads. I don't know if I can go backwards one more day. Every step toward the weekend is a good one for me.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, thanks, Addie.
You're welcome.
We start this morning in Madison, where the city is working to identify and assist any undocumented immigrants who may have been arrested by federal agents over the past few days. Dane County officials are now confirming at least 11 people have been detained by Immigration and Customs Enforcement since Friday. Madison's police chief says he's usually informed when those officers come to the city, but this time he was not made aware of that. Mayor Paul Soglin said ICE needs to communicate with city leaders about who it may perceive to be a threat in the community. Both the city and Dane County have included funding in their latest budgets to provide services to undocumented immigrants. Representative Mark Pocan says he continues to push the agency for information, but all he's been told is that the arrests were targeted. Now, Madison School District knows this is not easy to talk about, these arrests that families are experiencing here, but officials say it is important to have that conversation with your kids.
And the district wants families to understand they are not alone in this, especially when it comes to explaining the situation to the students. Josh Spreiter joins us now with the latest this morning. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. The district wants families to know that their kids are safe on school grounds. ICE officials are not allowed to have contact with students without a parent's permission. The district has formed an internal work group so families can get all the help they need. Officials say it's important for students to receive the emotional, psychological, and academic support in times like this. That includes finding the best way to talk to all children, not just the ones directly affected by the ICE arrests, about a very complicated yet scary topic for many.
Creating that space for children to just kind of talk out loud with adults and help process, I think is really important. Because you have conversations, right? And families should know, and students should know that they have a partner in us to engage in those conversations.
The district says it is working with the schools to ensure student information is protected. The district also has a special page up on its website with answers to frequently asked questions. We've put a link to that on channel3000.com. Lee and Danica asked the district many other questions, like how many of its students are affected and which schools have been affected by this the most so far, but they didn't want to answer those questions, saying they're trying to protect the students and their families.
Absolutely, and still a lot of question too, Josh, about just who these people are and who may be affected by all of this.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, we'll continue to follow up with it. Josh Spreiter reporting from the newsroom this morning. Thanks, Josh.
6:05 your time now. We expect to hear from the CEO of WTS Paradigm later today for the first time since last week's shooting in Middleton. CEO Nathan Erbst will talk this morning at 8:15. We're going to stream that live on our website, channel3000.com, and over on our Facebook page. Meanwhile, the ATF says it's still trying to track down the semi-automatic pistol police say Anthony Tong used last Wednesday. Tong wasn't supposed to own a gun because of his history of mental health problems. A search warrant shows police confiscated hundreds of rounds of ammunition from Tong's home, along with gun parts. A former Madison alder says he remembers Anthony Tong as a quiet guy who fit in with other students in college. Chris Schmidt was in the same graduating class as Tong at Lawrence University back in the mid-90s. Schmidt had a handful of physics classes with Tong and says he was sociable at the time. That's a different description from what we've heard from one of Tong's former co-workers at WTS Paradigm. He told the State Journal he never talked or smiled at work.
New this morning, 4 teenagers face charges for stealing a car full of electronics. A Fitchburg officer was out on patrol around 1 o'clock this morning when he saw a suspicious car on Dolly Drive. That's right off Seminole Highway near the UW Arboretum. Now, the car was reported as stolen, but the driver sped off when the officer tried to pull him over. Later on, another officer found the car parked in a lot at a nearby business and heard people hiding and talking in the woods. Police found expensive electronics in that car and 2 stolen garage door openers. 2 16-year-olds, a 15-year-old, and an 18-year-old are all in custody this morning. 6:06 right now, and federal assessors will be in Black Earth today, about a month after floods seriously damaged homes, roads, and businesses there. Officials began the process of looking into the damage in Shorewood Hills and Mazomanie yesterday. FEMA teams will be making stops across Wisconsin to estimate how much damage there is in each community. Those numbers will then be sent to the state, which will decide whether to request federal aid. You do not have to be home if these assessors visit your neighborhood, and they won't be stopping at every house and business. If you still haven't reported damage to your property, you can still do so by calling 211. FEMA is asking people to take pictures and save receipts associated with the flooding as well. In Sauk County, officials are looking for volunteers to help remove sandbags there. People are needed on Thursday and Friday at the North Freedom Fire Station on North Maple Street. You're asked to wear old clothes and tennis shoes to help out with that work.
Wisconsin's Tenant Resource Center is still busy following up with people who need help after all that flooding. Wisconsin Public Radio reports employees there are being inundated with phone calls from tenants across the entire state who are still dealing with water issues and repairs. The center is reminding people who rent to get renter's insurance to prevent some of these issues in the future.
A Madison alder will be recognized by his colleagues on council later today for saving 2 lives during last month's flooding. District 20 Alder Matt Fair, his wife Connie, and another man named Alec Lewis helped rescue 2 people from a car that was stuck in rushing floodwaters on the city's west side. Council will also take a moment to remember 70-year-old James Sewell, who was swept away by the water and drowned.
6:08 your time now. We have 6 weeks until the midterms, which makes today a great day to get out and register. It's actually National Voter Registration Day. We're going to tell you when and where to cross that off your list and make Election Day that much easier coming up.
And when you're done registering, maybe reward yourself by taking the rest of the day off, right? That always sounds good, but it is prime sleeping in and or napping weather today. You can see that harvest moon just blaring in the sky this morning. You may be waking up, though, to some patchy fog. Hattie does have an alert day to talk about, and storms on the way when News 3 This Morning returns.
Good morning from the patio. One more mild morning. No jacket on the patio this morning. I think that will definitely change come tomorrow morning. We have a big change coming with a cold front that's moving through the area later today. That has prompted an alert day for southern Wisconsin. Severe thunderstorms are possible this afternoon and evening. Damaging winds will be the main threat. Heavy rain is also possible to be a brief heavy downpour. Can't rule out an isolated tornado as well. Here's a look at Doppler track this morning. Things are pretty quiet right now across southern Wisconsin, but we'll zoom the map out just a little bit and you can see some scattered shower and thunderstorm activity developing across parts of Nebraska and southern South Dakota this morning. Those showers and thunderstorms are going to be tracking eastward through the day. The slight risk for severe weather does include far southern Wisconsin, and Madison is included in that slight risk area. A live look from the WISC-TV sky cam. We're watching the full moon set this morning. A little bit of fog scattered across the area. I can see a little bit of fog here in the parking lot at News 3. Otherwise, visibility down to about a mile in Monroe. A quarter-mile visibility right now, though, in Juneau. So there's some patchy, dense fog. Temperatures are in the 60s. We've dropped a few degrees here in Madison down to 62. Tied now with the Dells. It's 63 in Janesville and 62 in Prairie du Chien. Future track will show you what to expect today. While there are some holes in the cloud cover this morning, watch what happens as we go through the morning. They fill in pretty quickly across southern Wisconsin. Most areas are going to stay dry through the lunch hour today. It's during the afternoon. By about 2 o'clock, that line of showers and thunderstorms starts to move into our western viewing area. Looks like it could hit Madison between 4 and 6 o'clock, and that would be right during the drive time home. So be aware of that. It may impact the evening commute. The showers and thunderstorms, though, should clear the area pretty quickly. By 10 o'clock, things are already starting to dry out. Temperatures will drop quickly overnight as well. With clearing skies and a drier air mass moving in, we'll bottom out in the mid-40s by daybreak tomorrow. Rain amounts are likely going to be fairly light, quarter to half an inch in most spots, unless you find yourself under one of those heavier thunderstorms. Here's a look at your extended forecast. We have highs in the 70s today, but then it's jacket weather for the rest of the week. Low 60s and even upper 50s on Friday. A little bit unsettled with chances for rain starting on Thursday through Monday of next week. None of those days are going to be a complete washout, especially through the weekend, but that chance for rain continues in the forecast. Now let's get a look at your First Alert traffic maps this morning. Josh Tim has all the details. Good morning, Josh.
Yeah, no issues on the Beltline so far. Things are moving well in both directions with no major delays. Checking out some roads here in Dane County. There are a few brake lights on Stoughton Road near the Beltline ramps. And once again, some fog on the roadways here in southern Wisconsin, especially outside of Madison. Just a reminder to have those headlights on when you head out the door. No problems with volume downtown. Look for things to get busier over the next hour or so. Other main routes heading into the city are moving at the usual speeds with no major crashes or delays. With your First Alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
All right, Josh, thank you so much. And thank you, Hattie. 6:15 right now, and the candidates running for the U.S. Senate here in Wisconsin are weighing in on the president's pick for the Supreme Court as he faces a growing number of sexual misconduct allegations. Incumbent Tammy Baldwin was in Milwaukee yesterday to promote early voting. She called on the FBI to reopen its background investigation into Judge Brett Kavanaugh. 2 women are now accusing him of sexual misconduct. Baldwin's Republican opponent, Leah Vukmir, released a statement saying the attacks being published by the, quote, fake news media are uncorroborated. Now, Vukmir added that Democrats should stop being political with this process and vote on Kavanaugh's nomination this week. The judge and one of his accusers are set to testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee on Thursday.
Both those candidates talked last night at an event where Governor Walker suggested a big change in road funding for local governments. Vukmir and Baldwin joined the governor and his opponent, Tony Evers, at the annual Wisconsin Counties Association up in La Crosse. That's where Governor Walker announced a proposal to up the amount of money spent on county highways to 30%. That would be the largest single increase in funding and the highest funding level ever for counties through the transportation program. Candidate Tony Evers pointed out, though, the state is ranked 49th in the country for road quality and has 1,200 bridges with structural issues. We are about 6 weeks away from that midterm election, and there's a reason you should be thinking about voting today. It's National Voter Registration Day. The clerk's office is holding registration events across the city. You just have to bring proof of your address, like a utility bill or a pay stub, to any of the locations that are listed on cityofmadison.com. If you can't make it out today, you can always register online at myvote.wi.gov. The deadline for online and mail registration is October 17th.
So I am going to ask for forgiveness already, both of us are, because we are talking about the first frost of the season coming up here on News 3 this morning. Sorry. Chris Reese is looking ahead, hopefully way ahead, to when we should bring the plants inside overnight.
No snow in the forecast. At least you can love us for that. Hattie has an alert day, though, for your Tuesday. She's going to update your radar coming up on News 3 this morning.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Hattie McLean. Today is an alert day for southern Wisconsin. We're watching some showers and thunderstorms that will move in for the afternoon and evening. Some may be severe later today. Time frame would be between 2 and 9 p.m. Temperatures currently are in the 60s in most spots. Couple of areas in the 50s, Boscobel and Juneau at 59, but 62 here in Madison and 63 in Janesville. Your bus stop weather forecast, you might want to bring that umbrella for the end of the day. No problems getting to school or even at lunchtime, but as the bus takes you home this afternoon, there may be some showers and thunderstorms in your area. Temperatures today will still top in the low 70s. After that, you have to think how you dress for school. Probably want to add a few more layers for the rest of the week, with morning lows starting in the 40s, daytime highs only in the 50s and 60s. Have a wonderful day.
All right, thanks, Hattie. You might be grabbing that sweater in the evening time, too. Nighttime temperatures already in the 40s. That's just a hop, skip, and a jump away from the freezing point.
Yeah, it makes cuddling up in the blankets really nice at night. It's just a matter of time before the frost makes a return. And meteorologist Chris Reese is joining us now to talk about when we might see that.
That's right. And I'll tell you what, this summer, I moved to Wisconsin. I get stung by a bee for the first time ever. So that was an experience. But the mosquitoes have been a whole different experience. And that is why I am excited about that's why I'm excited about seeing some frost around here. So that's what we are certainly looking forward to, because I want to get rid of those mosquitoes.
You're not alone in that,
yes.
I don't think, at all.
Exactly. So the average first frost is October 11th, the earliest September 12th. Of course, we haven't had that yet, but the latest is November 12th. So it looks like we have 3 weeks to upwards of a month or so before we can really get rid of those. But there is hope on the horizon. See, let's go ahead and fast forward things and show you guys how some of these models have been playing out with that colder air being on the move. Now, this is just the next couple of weeks. Notice how that cooler air starts to dive down from Canada, and as we enter into October, you see a real dip in the jet stream that's going to allow some of that cooler air to reach the upper Midwest. Now, this air is not necessarily freezing around here, but you see just how close it is right around northern Minnesota and northern Wisconsin. That's that cooler air working its way down south, and that is what has the chance to be here pretty close to that average date. So we'll see if it actually happens. I mean, that's a long time away. Models can change over the course of time.
Sure.
If you follow weather, we say things like that all the time. But that keeps me hopeful that we will get rid of these mosquitoes as we go through about the next 2 to 3 weeks.
You keep trying to put a positive spin on this, but you too, if it's not mosquitoes and it's an early winter, what's worse?
The mosquitoes for me.
Chris is like, no question.
I am done with
No question.
We'll
no
see
question.
what tune you're singing in winter.
I know. Let's get through February and just see how I feel about it. You know?
You know what else will be interesting, Chris, this winter is with the water levels so high after all this rain. I mean, the lakes are just going to be like frozen to the brim.
You know what? That could be another topic that we talk about, some of the lake water. I know when I came here for the first time, I fell in love with the city with the lakes frozen over.
Yeah. Wonderful.
So, you know, that was a first for me. That's something I've never seen growing up down south. But it'll be intriguing to see what that looks like.
You got to have the positive vibes heading into winter.
Exactly.
You gotta start 'em now.
That's how you make it through that season.
There you go.
And a cute
Stay
winter
positive.
coat.
Yes.
All right, thanks, Chris.
My pleasure.
So we are talking about frost, so it's only a matter of time before, unfortunately, we're talking about snow. And Madison's Common Council is getting a head start on us. They're looking at expanding the city's downtown snow emergency zone at its meeting tonight. That's the area where alternate side parking rules go into effect when and if the city declares a snow emergency. You can see right now most of the isthmus stretching from Tenney Park to Park Street is in that zone. The proposed expansion, though, would add the Greenbush and Vilas neighborhoods, that is, from Regent Street down to the zoo to the snow emergency zone.
All right, before snow, at least hopefully, is Halloween. Tonight, city leaders are planning for the annual event that brings thousands to downtown Madison. This year's Freak Fest happens on October 27th with acts like Mr. Wives and Tank and the Bangas. The city expects to make $100,000 on that event this year. Tonight's conversation will talk about crowd control, ticket sales, and cleanup following Freak Fest. All right, 6:25 your time now. 400 soldiers from Wisconsin are getting ready for deployment this winter. We're going to let you know where they're headed and how you can honor them with a send-off after the break.
And some homeowners in Green Lake County could lose their homes if they don't dig their own wells over the next week. The day's top stories are next on News 3 This Morning.
Firefighters in Janesville say the city is retaliating against them with a 400% price hike for their health insurance.
Madison area are reacting this morning to the latest ice activity. I'm Josh Breiter with more on what district leaders are saying right now.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to the final half hour of News 3 This Morning. It is almost 6:29 now on this Tuesday, September 25th, and that has been a big story of the past week, these ice arrests. Josh is going to tell us a little bit more about how schools are reacting coming up.
Yeah, another big story of the morning is the weather. We are expecting some possibly severe storms later on today. Let's turn it over to Hattie McLean with a look at that. Good morning, Hads.
Good morning. You're right. Today is an alert day for southern Wisconsin with the potential for severe thunderstorms coming this afternoon and evening. Right now, it's a pretty mild start to the day. Our severe weather outlook, that yellow shaded slight risk area, does include parts of Dane County and the Madison area, so be aware of that later on. Main threat will be damaging winds as these storms move through, but can't rule out some brief heavy downpours or even an isolated weak tornado. High resolution Doppler radar, though, is quiet around here this morning. I've been watching a cluster of showers and thunderstorms rolling across the Nebraska South Dakota state line, but you can see some more development just within the last hour of some thunderstorms further to the south. And all this activity is going to track eastward through the day today. Chances for precipitation are pretty low through the lunch hour, so I think we'll stay dry through the morning. After that, rain becoming likely late this afternoon into early this evening. Here in the Madison area, looks like those storms will roll through between 4 and 5 o'clock, so it could impact the evening commute. No impact, though, weather-wise to the morning commute right now. The only thing you may need to worry about would be a little bit of fog. I can see some fog here in the parking lot at Channel 3. Visibility is not terrible, though. A look at your drive times, a little bit slower northbound Verona Road to the Beltline, about 40 miles through that stretch. And that's your first alert traffic.
Hattie, thank you so much. 6:30 right now, and at least 11 people are under arrest under federal immigration agents, I should say, over the weekend. We still don't know who those people are. The city's mayor and police chief say that they didn't even know ICE agents were here.
The Madison School District is assuring their students they are safe in class, regardless of their immigration status. Our Josh Breiter joins us now with the district's stance this morning. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. The school says it understands why many families are panicking right now. District leaders say they want parents to know that they are there as a resource. They tell me there's no reason for families to feel alone. Last year, the school board adopted a resolution declaring every Madison Metro school is a safe place. They want you to know that all students, regardless of immigration status, have the right to attend school, and you never need to disclose your immigration status.
We want our students to feel knowing that they're supported and that we are here to support one another in this.
If necessary, parents can actually call to excuse their child from school if needed. School leaders say they are trying to make it as easy as possible for families going through a hard time. The school district also has several emergency numbers available for you to call. We've put those links on the Channel 3000 mobile app. Danica and Leah Verona schools are also reacting this morning. In a statement on social media, the district says it too has been affected by the latest ice activity. School leaders there are also showing support for families impacted.
This is a story we will certainly continue updating on air and online at channel3000.com. Josh Breiter reporting from the newsroom here. Thank you, Josh.
6:32 your time now. Nearly 400 Wisconsin Army National Guard soldiers will deploy to Afghanistan this winter. According to a release, it will be for the NATO-led Resolute Support Mission. Soldiers from the 2nd Battalion, 127th Infantry out of Appleton will deploy as a security element for forces operating in that area. The State National Guard, is planning a send-off ceremony. They'll release those details at a later date.
People living in the town of Dalton will have until Monday to dig a private well or risk the state condemning their homes. As of October 1st, that Green Lake County community will not have a public water service. This comes after years of discussion and debate in Dalton. Town staff estimated the improvements needed to keep the public system going would be more than $1.5 million over the next 5 to 10 years. That would more than double the average water bill for residents there. So now about 50 property owners will have to dig private wells. Anyone who doesn't do that will be reported to the health department because the state requires all houses to have running water.
Janesville firefighters might soon be paying 4 times as much for health insurance due to a dispute with the city. In a Facebook post on Friday, firefighters said the city has threatened to increase their health insurance costs by 400%. That threat comes after another argument when city officials tried to change a parking policy to prevent firefighters from using city resources to wash their own cars during work. The city says both are in response from a request from the firefighters union to be treated like outside fire departments rather than city employees. Firefighters say they feel like they're being penalized over that parking dispute. The city of Madison is looking into reimbursing its city employees who had to pay out of pocket for medical procedures and services connected to gender reassignment. This year's budget includes $250,000 to cover domestic partnerships and benefits for transgender people who had a gap in coverage last year. Just last month, the state's insurance board decided to reinstate benefits related to gender reassignment surgery and hormone therapies for all state workers. Tonight, Common Council will approve setting up a reimbursement program.
Researchers at the UW are looking into what could be positive effects of a date rape drug for people struggling with depression. Ketamine, also known as Special K, is commonly used as a date rape drug, but it's also approved by the FDA as an anesthetic. Now, the State Journal reports UW has already used it to treat about 36 patients who are dealing with depression, and about 25% of them saw a dramatic improvement. Really interesting there.
It is.
6:34 right now. The man who used to be known as America's Dad will find out just how much time he will spend in prison. We will look ahead to Bill Cosby's sentencing coming up in the morning sprint.
And coming from the girl with enough parking tickets to wallpaper my apartment. A new parking garage sounds like a pretty decent idea for downtown. We'll take a look at where it's going up on the UW campus when News 3 This Morning returns. Welcome back. We always ask you to share your morning with us here on News 3 this morning, and Janet posted this to Instagram. Isn't that gorgeous?
Yeah, it's really cool. That is a really neat shot.
Hattie says we might have gotten a little bit of fog this morning, so I'm hoping on your morning commute, this is what it looked like if you had to deal with fog, that is. That's a pretty neat shot. Thanks for sharing, Janet.
And hopefully the fog is staying in the fields like it is right here and not on the roads.
Let's add that. Yeah.
What does your morning look like? Take a picture and post it on our Facebook page, Twitter page, Instagram, whatever you do. Use that hashtag MyNews3Morning so Leah and I can find those pictures, and we share our favorites every morning here on the program.
We here at News 3 are close to hitting the 2,000 mark for our Coats for Kids campaign. We're up to 1,778 coats at last count. Thanks to everyone who dug through their closets so far for those old winter coats and hats and mittens they're not using anymore. You have until October 6th to get your winter coats and accessories over to any Clinky Cleaners or Area Lucier Family YMCA locations.
It could soon be a little easier to park on the UW-Madison campus near the natatorium or the animal hospital thanks to a new parking garage. City Council is going to hear plans for that new 600-stall garage at its meeting tonight. The garage will replace an existing surface lot between Observatory and Linden Drives, making room for more than 100 more cars to park. Now, construction is expected to start next summer and finish up in July of 2020. The UW Master Plan recommends adding an estimated 2,000 spaces over the next 20 years.
The city of Whitewater is looking for a vendor who wants to continue its shared ride taxi program. That contract for the taxi service is set to expire at the end of the year. It's typically available 7 days a week, and it's equipped to serve people with disabilities. Any vendors who are interested in taking up that project can go to that website right there on your screen. That's vendornet.wi.gov. Proposals have to be in by October 22nd. All right, bit of a blah day in store for your Tuesday, isn't it? Take a look outside quick. Hattie says the storms will be strongest this afternoon. Pretty foggy out there this morning, though. She's in next with your first alert forecast.
That moon is still so bright out there, too. First, though, it is September 25th. We want to say happy birthday to Princess Penelope here. Sawyer and all the kiddos turning 3 today. Thank you so much for letting us help celebrate, and thanks for tuning in right here on News 3 This Morning.
Look who's
Look at that. You are taking a look, or maybe not taking a look, out at the city of Platteville right now from our Queen Bee's radio Skycam. Not a lot to look at this morning, folks. Lots of fog on your way in. Drive safe. We're going to check in with Hattie. Reminder, it is an alert day. 6:44 your time now. A veteran from Indiana who spent nearly a decade of his life serving in the military has a new home in the Milwaukee area for free.
Army Sergeant First Class Tyson Cole came to Menominee Falls for an interview with a nonprofit that builds houses for veterans. Little did he know that he was there to actually see his new home. Tyson and his wife Jessica were welcomed by their new neighbors, Governor Scott Walker and Lieutenant Governor Rebecca Clayfish. Now, the couple started out as pen pals, and while he was serving in Iraq, Sergeant Cole was hit in an explosion and had to recover from a traumatic brain injury that left him with a second-grade reading level.
You're trying to put so much effort into getting better, and you have the stress of a house that's falling apart, and all this medical stuff, plus trying to get your education and trying to rebuild a life. To have the ability to have a lot of that stress just wiped away, there's no price you can put on that.
The Coles will move into their new home with their 3 kids.
Favorite story of the day.
Yeah, that's really great.
People helping people. All right, speaking of people helping people, Hattie is helping us get through this alert day. Hey, Hattie.
Good morning. You're right, it is an alert day for southern Wisconsin. We're talking about this afternoon and evening when a cold front moves through the area. That'll bring some showers and thunderstorms, hail, or rather damaging winds and heavy rain possible, as well as an isolated tornado for mainly southeastern Wisconsin. Here's a look at those severe weather threats in more detail. Timing on this between about 2 and 9 p.m. for the severe thunderstorm potential across southern Wisconsin. Again, not as much of a threat for hail, more for damaging winds later today. Here's a look at what's happening this morning. We are in between areas of rain, actually have clear skies above that layer of fog that has developed, but we're watching a cluster of showers and thunderstorms that's rolling across Nebraska and South Dakota. That will track eastward through the day today and arrive a little bit later on this afternoon. Here's a look at future track, and again, you can see that cold front with a wave of low pressure riding along it, arriving right around the evening commute time here in southern Wisconsin. So the rain will likely impact your drive home from work this evening. Things clear out pretty quickly behind that front, though, with high pressure building in. It will definitely be cooler, but we'll have lots of sunshine through the day on Wednesday. The next storm system, though, already rolling in for Thursday afternoon. Here's a look at our current temperatures this morning. There's a pretty big spread of temperatures. 45 in International Falls, 75 in Paducah. So that's a 30-degree spread over just a few hundred miles. In between here in Madison, we're around 63 degrees. So still on the warm side of this storm system. One more mild day before things cool down. Here's a look at our current visibility map. Visibility is down to 0 in Juneau, so be aware of the dense fog there. Monroe, and as you saw earlier in Platteville, some fog has developed. So some patchy dense fog early today. Any breaks in the cloud cover that you have this morning will quickly fill in with clouds as we head towards the lunch hour today. Temperatures are still going to climb into the low 70s, so it's a mild day. But here's 2:30 with that line of showers and thunderstorms just crossing the Mississippi River Valley. It arrives here in Madison by about 4:30. So again, during the evening commute time, there will likely be some showers and even some thunderstorms possible. Things clear out, though, pretty quickly. By 10 o'clock, all that rain is out of the area. Clearing skies overnight and cooler temperatures tomorrow. Now, as far as rain totals, we're generally looking at 1/4 to 1/2 inch. Some slightly higher amounts, though, will be possible, especially in southwestern Wisconsin with some of those heavier thunderstorms. Here's a look at your extended forecast then. We have temperatures that will take a big cool down for the rest of the week. You have to change how you dress a little bit. Highs only in the low 60s on Wednesday and Thursday. I don't even think we're going to make it into the 60s on Friday. There will be some chances for rain, but no complete washouts. Here's Percy in Madison. Look at all snuggled up under a blanket.
I know.
Oh, kind of a. That's how things are going to be, I think, later on this week.
I was going to say, she's got the right idea there.
Yeah.
Grab your
a little
blanket.
ahead of the game.
All right, thanks, Hattie.
You're welcome.
The morning sprint's coming up next on News 3 This Morning.
It's the
6:51 time now for the morning sprint. It is an alert day in the News 3 weather office. Hattie's tracking some afternoon thunderstorm possibilities that could bring heavy winds or even hail.
And Josh Sprider's talking about what the Madison School District is saying to its students after recent ICE arrests. But we start with the response from city leaders on those arrests. They say they weren't informed in advance that federal immigration agents would be in town. Dane County now confirms ICE arrested at least 11 people over the weekend. Mayor Paul Soglin says ICE needs to communicate with city leaders about who it perceives to be a threat to the community.
I'm Josh Sprider. The Madison Metro School District continues to show support for its families during the ongoing ICE activity in the area. The district wants families to know their kids are safe on school grounds. ICE officials are not allowed to have contact with students without a parent's permission. By law, all students have the right to a free K-12 education regardless of immigration status. School officials say they understand how many families are anxious about ICE in Madison right now. They tell me there's no reason for families to feel alone. The district has formed an internal work group so families can get all of the help they need, including the best ways to talk to your child about this very topic. We've put links on channel3000.com.
Josh, thank you. We will hear from the CEO of WTS Paradigm for the first time today since last Wednesday's shooting at his Middleton office. That happens at 8:15 this morning. We will stream that live on our Facebook page. Meanwhile, federal investigators are still working to find the semi-automatic pistol police say the gunman Anthony Tong used to shoot and injure 4 of his co-workers. Tong was banned from owning a gun due to his history of mental health issues.
4 teenagers are facing charges for stealing a car full of electronics overnight. A Fitchburg officer was out on patrol around 1 this morning when he saw a suspicious car just off Seminole Highway. The car was reported as stolen, but the driver sped off when the officer was trying to pull him over. Another officer found the car parked in a lot at a nearby business and heard people hiding in the woods there. Police found expensive electronics in the car and 2 stolen garage door openers. 2 16-year-olds, a 15-year-old, and an 18-year-old are all in custody this morning.
Federal assessors will be back in Black Earth today for day 2 of flood damage assessments across the state. You're seeing video from yesterday when FEMA teams were in Mazomanie and the Shorewood Hills neighborhood here in Madison. The state will use those estimates to decide whether to request federal aid. If you still haven't reported damage to your property, you can still call 211. You should also save pictures and receipts associated with the flooding.
Some fog has developed across southern Wisconsin this morning. A few spots are recording visibility less than a mile. Juneau, Monroe, and Platteville, and now Boscoville added to the list. So be aware of that dense fog early this morning. Today is an alert day then for southern Wisconsin for this afternoon and evening. The threat for severe weather across the area. The chances for rain really ratchet up as we head through the afternoon. After lunchtime, chances for rain becoming likely late this afternoon into this evening across southern Wisconsin.
All right, thanks, Hattie. Bill Cosby will learn whether he'll spend time in jail when he's back in a Pennsylvania courtroom today. The 81-year-old comedian will be sentenced for drugging and sexually assaulting a woman back in 2004. He's facing up to 30 years in prison. Prosecutors have asked for a 5 to 10-year sentence. His lawyers are asking that he stay at home because of his age and his health.
In his first on-camera interview since 2 women accused him of sexual misconduct, Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh says he never assaulted anyone. Kavanaugh told Fox News he hopes to get a fair chance to clear his name when he testifies before the Senate Judiciary Committee Thursday. One of his accusers is also scheduled to testify that day. CBS This Morning will have the latest on this story coming up after 7.
The Wisconsin candidates running for U.S. Senate are weighing in on those allegations against Kavanaugh. Incumbent Tammy Baldwin called on the FBI to reopen its background investigation into him. Baldwin's Republican opponent, Leah Vukmir, released a statement. It says the attacks are being published by the, quote, fake news media. She says the vote should happen this week.
Madison's clerk's office is holding registration events across the city today for National Voter Registration Day. You just have to bring proof of your address, like a utility bill or a pay stub, to any of the locations. Those are listed over on the City of Madison's website. If you can't make it today, you can always register online at myvote.wi.gov.
There are some important zoning changes that could happen this evening to allow a developer to build a 9-story hotel at the top of State Street. Common Council will look into those plans even after some city staff recommended against approving the current proposal. If that project is approved, construction would start in March of next year.
There's an opportunity to check out redevelopment plans for the old General Motors plant property in Janesville later today. The Gazette says more than a third of the 25-acre property has already been cleared. The company that bought the plant last December will share the results of a resident survey and get some more feedback on its plans at today's open house that starts at 4 this afternoon. at the Rock County Job Center.
6:56 your time now. Let's turn it back over to Josh Tim with a look at your first alert traffic. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning, guys. Well, delays already showing up on the westbound Beltline between Stoughton Road and West Broadway. Plan on 5 minutes extra as it continues to get busier. Usual brake lights on inbound John Nolan at Rimrock and Olin Avenue intersections. That's going to add a couple minutes heading into the downtown Madison area. And other main routes leading into the city, they're moving along at the usual speeds right now with no major crashes or delays. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thanks, Josh.
And our forecast does start with a little bit of fog this morning. Here's a cool view from the WISC-TV Skycam. You can just barely see the sun through all those low clouds that we have here on the west side of town. We do have rain in the forecast. It's an alert day for the area. Not quite as foggy downtown, but rain becoming likely between 4 and 8 p.m. here in southern Wisconsin.
Want to remind you again that the CEO of WTS Paradigm in Middleton is going to speak for the first time this morning. We will carry that live over on the Channel 3000 Facebook page.
Making plans that are weather dependent? Get an accurate 12-hour, even a 10-day forecast. Download the Channel 3000 First Alert Weather app and start planning.